Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Bible in a Year. My name is Natalie, and today we are on day 268. I am so happy that you're here today, and I hope your day is going fantastic. We are going to be reading out of 1 Kings chapter 6, Ezekiel chapter 23, Mark chapter 15, but we're only going to be reading verses 25 through 47. And then we're going to close out the day with Psalm 136, verses 1 through 9. So let's get started with 1 Kings chapter 6. In the 480th year, after the children of Israel had come out of the land of Egypt, in the 4th year of Solomon's reign over Israel, in the month Ziv, which is the 2nd month, he began to build Yahweh's house. The house which King Solomon built for Yahweh had a length of 60 cubits, and its width 20, and its height 30 cubits. The porch in front of the temple of the house had a length of 20 cubits, which was along the width of the house. 10 cubits was its width in front of the house. He made windows of fixed lattice work for the house. Against the wall of the house, he built floors all around, against the walls of the house all around, both of the temple and of the inner sanctuary, and he made side rooms all around. The lowest floor was 5 cubits wide, and the middle was 6 cubits wide, and the third was 7 cubits wide. For on the outside, he made offsets in the wall of the house all around, that the beams should not be inserted into the walls of the house. The house, when it was under construction, was built of stone prepared at the quarry, and no hammer or axe or any tool of iron was heard in the house while it was under construction. The door for the middle side rooms was in the right side of the house. They went up by winding stairs into the middle floor, and out of the middle into the third. So he built the house and finished it, and he covered the house with beams and planks of cedar. He built the floors all along the house, each 5 cubits high, and they rested on the house with timbers of cedar. Yahweh's word came to Solomon, saying, "Concerning this house which you are building, if you will walk in my statutes and execute my ordinances and keep all my commandments to walk in them, then I will establish my word with you, which I spoke to David your father. I will dwell among the children of Israel and will not forsake my people Israel." So Solomon built the house and finished it. He built the walls of the house within verse 35. He built the walls of the house within with boards of cedar, from the floor of the house to the walls of the ceiling. He covered them on the inside with wood. He covered the floor of the house with cypress boards. He built 20 cubits of the back part of the house with boards of cedar, from the floor to the ceiling. He built this within for an inner sanctuary, even for the most holy place. In front of the temple sanctuary was 40 cubits long. There was cedar on the house within, carved with buds and open flowers. All this was cedar. No stone was visible. He prepared an inner sanctuary in the middle of the house within, to set the ark of Yahweh's covenant there. Within the inner sanctuary was 20 cubits in length, and 20 cubits in width, and 20 cubits in its height. He overlaid it with pure gold. He covered the altar with cedar. So Solomon overlaid the house within with pure gold. He drew chains of gold across before the inner sanctuary, and he overlaid it with gold. He overlaid the whole house with gold until all the house was finished. He also overlaid the whole altar that belonged to the inner sanctuary with gold. In the inner sanctuary he made 2 cherubim of olive wood, each 10 cubits high. 5 cubits was the length of one wing of the cherub, and 5 cubits was the length of the other wing of the cherub. From the tip of one wing to the tip of the other was 10 cubits. The other cherub was 10 cubits. Both the cherubim were of one measure and one form. One cherub was 10 cubits high, and so was the other cherub. He set the cherubim within the inner house. The wings of the cherubim were stretched out so that the wing of the one touched the wall of the wing of the other cherub. Let me start that one over. Verse 27. He set the cherubim within the inner house. The wings of the cherubim were stretched out so that the wing of the one touched the one wall, and the wing of the other cherub touched the other wall, and their wings touched one another in the middle of the house. He overlaid the cherubim with gold. He carved all the walls of the house around with carved figures of cherubim, palm trees, and open flowers inside and outside. He overlaid the floor of the house with gold, inside and outside. For the entrance of the inner sanctuary, he made doors of olive wood. The lintel of the doorposts were a 5th part of the wall. So he made 2 doors of olive wood, and he carved on them carvings of cherubim, palm trees, and open flowers, and overlaid them with gold. He spread the gold on the cherubim and on the palm trees. He also made the entrance of the temple door posts of olive wood out of a 4th part of the wall, and 2 doors of cypress wood. The 2 leaves of the one door were folding, and the 2 leaves of the other door were folding. He carved cherubim, palm trees, and open flowers, and he overlaid them with gold fitted on the engraved work. He built the inner court with 3 courses of cut stone and a course of cedar beams. The foundation of Yahweh's house was laid in the 4th year, in the month Ziv. In the 11th year, in the month Bul, which is the 8th month, the house was finished, throughout all its parts and according to all its specifications. So he spent 7 years building it. My goodness, that sounds so beautiful. Wow. The house, when it was under construction, was built of stone prepared at the quarry, and no hammer or axe or any tool of iron was heard in the house while it was under construction. I cannot think of anything more perfect. This magnificent, beautiful, beautiful structure, and you never even heard it being built. That's awesome. Solomon was indeed a wise man. All right, Ezekiel chapter 23. Okay, so Yahweh's word came again to me, saying, Son of man, there were 2 women, the daughters of one mother. They played the prostitute in Egypt. They played the prostitute in their youth. Their breasts were fondled there, and their youthful nipples were caressed there. Their names were Olah the elder and Olabah her sister. They became mine, and they bore sons and daughters. As for their names, Samaria is Olah, and Jerusalem Olibah. Olah played the prostitute when she was mine. She doted on her lovers, on the Assyrians, her neighbors, who were clothed with blue governors and rulers, all of them desirable young men, horsemen, riding on horses. She gave herself as a prostitute to them, all of them the choicest men of Assyria. She defiled herself with the idols of whoever she lusted after. She hasn't left her prostitution since leaving Egypt, for in her youth they lay with her. They caressed her youthful nipples, and they poured out their prostitution on her. Therefore, I delivered her into the hand of her lovers, into the hand of the Assyrians, on whom she doted. These uncovered her nakedness. They took her sons and her daughters, and they killed her with the sword. She became a byword among women, for they executed judgments on her. Her sister, Oholibah, saw this, yet she was more corrupt in her lusting than she, and in her prostitution, which was more depraved than the prostitution of her sister. She lusted after the Assyrians, governors and rulers, her neighbors, clothed most gorgeously, horsemen riding on horses, all of them desirable young men. I saw that she was defiled. They both went the same way. She increased her prostitution, for she saw men portrayed on the wall, the images of the Chaldeans portrayed with red, dressed with belts on their waists, with flowing turbans on their heads, all of them looking like princes, after the likeness of the Babylonians in Chaldea, the land of their birth. As soon as she saw them, she lusted after them and sent messengers to them into Chaldea. The Babylonians came to her into the bed of love, and they defiled her with their prostitution. She was polluted with them, and her soul was alienated from them. So she uncovered her prostitution and uncovered her nakedness. Then my soul was alienated from her, just like my soul was alienated from her sister. Yet she multiplied her prostitution, remembering the days of her youth, in which she played the prostitute in the land of Egypt. She lusted after their lovers, whose flesh is as the flesh of donkeys, and whose issue is like the issue of horses. Thus you called to memory the lewdness of your youth, in the caressing of your nipples by the Egyptians, because of your youthful breasts. Therefore, Oholibah, the Lord Yahweh says, Behold, I will raise up your lovers against you, from whom your soul is alienated, and I will bring them against you on every side, the Babylonians and all the Chaldeans, Pekod, Shoa, Koa, and all the Assyrians with them, all of them desirable young men, governors and rulers, princes and men of renown, all of them riding on horses. They will come against you with weapons, chariots, and wagons, and with a company of peoples. They will set themselves against you with buckler, shield, and helmet all around. I will commit the judgment to them, and they will judge you according to their judgments. I will set my jealousy against you, and they will deal with you in fury. They will take away your nose and your ears. Your remnant will fall by the sword, and they will take your sons and your daughters, and the rest of you will be devoured by the fire. They will also strip you of your clothes and take away your beautiful jewels. Thus I will make your lewdness to cease from you, and remove your prostitution from the land of Egypt, so that you will not lift up your eyes to them, nor remember Egypt any more. For the Lord Yahweh says, Behold, I will deliver you into the hand of them who you hate, into the hand of them from whom your soul is alienated. They will deal with you in hatred, and will take away all your labor, and will leave you naked and bare. The nakedness of your prostitution will be uncovered, both your lewdness and your prostitution. These things will be done to you because you have played the prostitute after the nations, and because you are polluted with their idols. You have walked in the way of your sister. Therefore, I will give her cup into your hand. The Lord Yahweh says, you will drink of your sister's cup, which is deep and large. You will be ridiculed and held in derision. It contains much. You will be filled with drunkenness and sorrow, and the cup of astonishment and desolation with the cup of your sister Samaria. You will even drink it and drain it out. You will gnaw the broken pieces of it and will tear your breasts, for I have spoken it, says the Lord Yahweh. Therefore the Lord Yahweh says, because you have forgotten me and cast me behind your back, therefore you also bear your lewdness and your prostitution. Yahweh said moreover to me, Son of man, will you judge Oholah and Oholibah? Then declare them their abominations, for they have committed adultery, and blood is in their hands. They have committed adultery with their idols. They have also caused their sons, whom they bore to me, to pass through the fire to them to be devoured. Moreover, this they have done to me. They have defiled my sanctuary in the same day. They have profaned my Sabbaths. For when they had slain their children to their idols, then they came the same day into my sanctuary to profane it. And behold, they have done this in the middle of my house. Furthermore, you sisters have sent for men who come from far away, to whom a messenger was sent, and behold, they came, for whom you washed yourself, painted your eyes, decorated yourself with ornaments, and sat on a stately bed, with the table prepared before it, whereupon you set my incense and my oil. The voice of a multitude being at ease was with her. With men of a common sort were brought drunkards from the wilderness, and they put bracelets on their hands and beautiful crowns on their heads. And then I said to her, who was old in adulteries, now they will play the prostitute with her. And she ran with them. They went in to her as they go into a prostitute. So they went into Oholah and to Oholibah, the lewd women. Righteous men will judge them with the judgment of adulteresses and with the judgment of women who shed blood, because they are adulteresses, and blood is in their hands. For the Lord Yahweh says, I will bring up a mob against them, and will give them to be tossed back and forth and robbed. The company will stone them with the stones and dispatch them with their swords. They will kill their sons and their daughters and burn up their houses with fire. Thus I will cause lewdness to cease out of the land, that all women might be taught not to be lewd like you. They will recompense your lewdness on you, and you will bear the sins of your idols. Then you will know that I am the Lord Yahweh. Oh, he is a jealous, jealous God. And rightly so. I mean, he created us. He created us to love us and be in relationship with us. And then here we go on our own little merry way and go looking at different things, and we're not paying attention to him. Of course he would be jealous. Oh my goodness. All right, Mark chapter 15, verses 25 through 47. This is going to be a heavy day, guys. All right, here we go. It was the 3rd hour when they crucified him. The superscription of his accusation was written over him, "The King of the Jews." With him they crucified 2 robbers, one on his right hand and one on his left. The scripture was fulfilled, which says, "He was counted with transgressors." Those who passed by blasphemed him, wagging their heads and saying, "Ha! You who destroy the temple and build it in 3 days, save yourself and come down from the cross." Likewise also the chief priests, mocking among themselves with the scribes, said, "He saved others, he can't save himself. Let the Christ, the King of Israel, now come down from the cross, that we may see and believe him." Those who were crucified with him also insulted him. When the 6th hour had come, there was darkness over the whole land until the 9th hour. At the 9th hour, Jesus cried with a loud voice, saying, "Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani," which is being interpreted, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Some of those who stood by when they heard it said, "Behold, he is calling Elijah." One ran and, filling a sponge full of vinegar, put it on a reed and gave it to him to drink, saying, "Let him be. Let's see whether Elijah comes to take him down." Jesus cried out with a loud voice and gave up the spirit. The veil of the temple was torn in 2 from the top to the bottom. When the centurion who stood by opposite him saw that he cried out like this and breathed his last, he said, "Truly this man was the Son of God." There were also women watching from afar, among whom were both Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of James the Less, and of Joseph and Salome, who, when he was in Galilee, followed him and served him, and many other women who came up with him to Jerusalem. When evening had now come, because it was the preparation day, that is, the day before the Sabbath, Joseph of Arimathea, a prominent council member who also himself was looking for God's kingdom, came. He boldly went in to Pilate and asked for Jesus' body. Pilate was surprised to hear that he was already dead, and summoning the centurion, he asked him whether he had been dead long. When he found out from the centurion, he granted the body to Joseph. He bought a linen cloth, and taking him down, wound him in the linen cloth and laid him in a tomb which had been cut out of a rock. And he rolled a stone against the door of the tomb. Mary Magdalene and Mary the mother of Joseph saw where he was laid. All right, Psalm 136, 1 through 9. Give thanks to Yahweh, for he is good, for his loving kindness endures forever. Give thanks to the God of gods, for his loving kindness endures forever. Give thanks to the Lord of lords, for his loving kindness endures forever. To him who alone does great wonders, for his loving kindness endures forever. To him whom by understanding made the heavens, for his loving kindness endures forever. To him who poured out the earth above the waters, for his loving kindness endures forever. To him who made the great lights, for his loving kindness endures forever. The sun to rule by day, for his loving kindness endures forever. And the moon and stars to rule by night, for his loving kindness endures forever. Over and over and over again, for his loving kindness endures forever. While there are spots of his jealousy, his frustration, his anger, the big canvas, the big picture is his loving kindness endures forever. And this is why he sent Jesus. This is why. This was quite the day. I'm so happy that you stopped by, though, and that you're hanging in there. Please come back for tomorrow, which will be day 269. Think about the words of Mark. I did not want to comment specifically on this day because it is so emotional. And I think it draws different emotions from individual people. My emotional experience may not be the same as yours. And so I wanted to hold the comment to myself and let you experience that moment when the veil was torn in two. He is our new covenant. And I am so thankful. So have the most wonderful day, everybody. I will see you tomorrow for day 269. Bye.